Hi guys, it's Deborah. Welcome to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to share with you what to eat when you're doing alternate day fasting or ADF. And the answer to that is anything you want. Seriously. All right, so that's very vague. So what I'm going to do is just break it down and sort of share a bit of my story with alternate day fasting and then move into eat what you want. So I've been doing alternate day fasting since the end of July. Well, actually August 1st, 2022 was my first fast day. And I didn't really even find out about alternate day fasting until the last few days of July 2022. And I was doing some research around it because I had done other forms of intermittent fasting and I just really didn't know what it was. So one of the things when I heard, if you do this strict protocol, you can eat whatever you want and still lose weight. So that was the hook for me. I was like, I need more information. I want to do this. So that's what I did. I started to do a little bit more research. So in those early days, when I was building my alternate day fasting protocol, I really sat down and I created what I call my success declaration. And I have created a guide. If you're interested, I will share a link in the description box where you can grab that free guide. But essentially, this is what I did. I set up my success declaration. I knew I had to implement a really tight, strict fasting protocol just to get started. And that's what I did. So the eat anything you want was, like I said, it was the hook, but I didn't understand it. I just went full force into this. And literally I did. I ate anything I wanted. That first week when I started alternate day fasting and I was going through that transition from not eating every other day, which was a real transition in and of itself. But I literally ate anything I wanted. I remember the first couple of meals I had, this massive plate of spaghetti and meatballs. You know, I was coming from a really long, decade-long history of restrict, binge type of eating. I had done every diet, every plan, like all of it. I share a lot of it in my 90-day update video. So there were a lot of things on my list of what I didn't want to do and what I knew I wanted to do. So anyway, that first week, I ate anything I wanted. I had spaghetti, pizza, chocolate bars, chips, and I knew putting the focus on my 40-hour fast was my top priority. And I knew intuitively that this eating part of this process would evolve as I went along. And in that first week, eating whatever I wanted, I lost like 4.5 pounds. I was amazed. But also some of the things that brought me into alternate day fasting, or some of my why, or some of the goals I wanted to achieve, was to heal my body. I had my metabolism or my metabolic processes were fried. They were completely broken. I had up until the time that I started alternate day fasting, my life had taken some pretty big hits. And so probably my adrenal glands were fried, my central nervous system was jacked. I was like at the bottom. I started with a metabolism that probably wasn't even functioning. So I knew where I had started from, and I knew that if I could lose almost 5 pounds in my first week eating this way, because I didn't want to be restricted. I wanted to eat whatever I wanted. That was the main tug for me to do alternate day fasting. So while I knew what I didn't want to eat, which consisted of any kind of restrictive diet, I didn't want to do keto. I had tried the plant-based eating structure. That wasn't working for me. And I didn't want to go back into any kind of restrictive eating. So, back in the day, I don't know if you experienced this, I had heard this concept of eat intuitively. Well, I was like, what the heck is that? Because for me, when I did try that with this kind of broken system that I explained, there were other things in the background driving that. So I didn't understand. I really didn't, I didn't appreciate that concept of eat intuitively. Because what was happening for me when I would just, hear about eating intuitively, I actually tried it. And so my intuition at that time was to eat chocolate or binge on these different things. So after I tried intuitive eating, I was like, I can't eat intuitively. I'm putting weight on faster than anything I've ever done. So I just kind of dropped that concept. But I understand now, 3.5 months into alternate day fasting, I truly believe I have an understanding of what that means. So here's what I understand today about intuitive eating, which is what alternate day fasting naturally leads into this evolution. It's an evolution process. So back in the day when I tried intuitive eating, like I said, there were other things going on that were running the show. Emotional eating, the way I grew up, the state of my bodily functions. I had, all kinds of gut health issues, hormone issues, emotional eating issues, and those were the things that were driving the show. So I thought of this analogy of if you wanted to tune into intuitive eating, and let's say that, just to use the analogy of music, is a classical music, calm. I don't listen to classical music, but I'm just going to use this as an analogy. So you want to tap into that radio station. But what's happening with these other issues are different radio stations. And for me, emotional eating was like heavy metal, hardcore, screaming in my face messaging. So while I wanted to listen to my body, to nourish my body in a way that, was healthy and it was going to support my body to heal and stuff, I couldn't tap into it. I had this other crazy music. Not that there's anything wrong with heavy metal, but for me it was like this screaming. And then on top of that, I had my physical body stuff was just screaming another message. So I just literally didn't have the capacity with all that background stuff assisting me in tapping into that. As well, my history was one that, well, if I go right back to my childhood, food was put in front of us. We didn't have any input into that. And we were told, you eat everything on your plate and you're not going to eat again until the food was provided to you. And a lot of that food for me in my generation was junk food. It was bologna sandwiches on Wonder Bread with, Kraft cheese slices, or Kraft dinner, or Campbell's soup with soda crackers crunched in. That was kind of the food that I grew up on. And so I had no input. I was never given the autonomy to say, I'm craving this over that. It just didn't exist in my world. And then I transitioned into, that kind of evolved into latching onto diet plans. And the first few ones that I remember were you get this program from some celebrity trainer, and it would break it right down. It would say at 9 a.m. have an apple. At 11:30 have, half of a cup of fat-free yogurt. At this time, eat this. At that time, eat that. And I would follow that. Even though I was miserable, and even though my body didn't want those foods, I would just try to stick to it. It was this conditioning repeating itself. And then that evolved into other forms of extreme dieting. I've done raw vegan, I've done keto, I've done carnivore. And all these plans were someone else outside of me saying, here's what you should eat. If anything, if anything starts with you should, probably it's not the right thing. And that's not my intention here. I'm not going to tell anybody what they should eat, when to eat, other than if you're doing alternate day fasting, to really hammer down your eating window. And then within that eating window will evolve this intuitive eating. But just going back to my point is up until when I started alternate day fasting, I didn't know what my body wanted. I didn't know what it needed to be nourished intuitively. I still had all these crazy programming music stations screaming in the background. I didn't know how to tap into that. And so, and on top of that, there was emotional eating. So even though my intentions were good to follow a healthy eating plan based on, I just remember back in the day when I was following macros and counting my calories, and though there was some freedom in the in that structure, if you were going to have X amount of calories, how you divvied that up was up to you. But there were still other things like emotional eating. So I remember when I did Weight Watchers, I would say I had this amount of points, but I would eat half of those points to fulfill some either emotional eating or gut health. Because I believe in our gut is where the state of our gut health will dictate what we crave. And even though we're craving healthy food, if there's some imbalance happening there, it's going to scream, I need sugar, or I need whatever. Usually it's sugar. Yeah. So that was the background that I was coming into alternate day fasting with. So now that I'm 3.5 months into alternate day fasting, I have determined that during my fasting window is when the greater majority of this healing happens, because all of these kinds of issues that I've just shared, I had, and we all have different issues, we have different backgrounds, we have different experiences. And this is why I believe alternate day fasting can heal on levels that I can't even articulate. It hits those things head on, and I wasn't prepared. I didn't realize that this was going to be the process I was going to go through. I've been addressing emotional eating issues and all these things I just shared. And what started to evolve for me was when I was in my fasting window, I was dealing with those things, particularly emotional eating, because when you're not eating and something goes sideways I'll just talk for myself. When something would go sideways, my main coping mechanism, which was emotional eating, to soothe that discomfort, I had really gone so strict on my fasting protocol that I just didn't even, it was what I called the no option zone. So I literally let myself go through that process of grieving or finding some other way of soothing myself, healthy way. A lot of it was just purging. It was letting it go. It was talking about it. It was addressing it. It was letting it kind of come to the surface, grieving it, mourning, whatever it was, so that was part of the process for me. And what that did, it tuned down. It brought the temperature down on these other background this other background music, it wasn't screaming as loud. It was really starting to lower the volume. And I was starting to be able to tap into the things that I wanted, the reasons why I was doing alternate day fasting, which was to heal my body and balance my hormones and feel energized and alive and vibrant and healthy and increase my level of activity. I basically started alternate day fasting, like not completely bedridden, but I just had nothing left in my tank. I was doing the bare bones basics of functioning. It was really me starting from ground zero. Yeah, so today, though, and I'll just sort of go back to emotional eating, because, you know, for me, that's been several decades building into this. It's still an issue. It still happens. But at least what I do now is, because I'm so solid on my alternate day fasting protocol, I will give myself that grace. If I'm craving something to just soothe me, I will, by the time I get to my eating window and I think, oh yeah, I want that ice cream, because I've still associated that the ice cream will take away the whatever feeling, the hard feeling. But even more now, I realize that I'm not doing that. Like, I'll be in the store and thinking, yeah, I can get that chocolate bar. But then it doesn't play out for me. Because by the time I've moved through dealing with that emotional issue, I've found a different way. It's this natural progression, and it gives me the freedom. I feel like when I'm fasting, I'm in this protective bubble, and I don't have to give into, even though this background music may be blaring, I don't succumb to it anymore. It's still there, and it's not going to take another 3 months, probably going to take years, and I'm okay with that. The thing is, I now see how this process has healed these things, and the more actual intuitive eating I do, especially when all the other background sabotaging, the temperature has lowered, which always usually happens during my fast, up comes the ability to choose the foods, to eat whatever I want. It's the most amazing thing I've ever experienced in my life. Yeah, so I just want to say, if you're considering alternate day fasting and you have whatever reasons brings you to alternate day fasting, for me, one of the major things was to lose weight. That was all I had in my mind. I want to lose weight, I want to do this, and then I can fix these other things in my life. But for me, weight loss, and you do lose weight. I say if you stick to create your success declaration, which is going to include what you want to do, what you want to do, why you want to do it, and this is really important, and then how you're going to do it. Obviously, I advocate for a very strict clean fast, so I only consume water, black coffee, and now I've actually implemented some tea and some electrolyte drops that are pure. There's no stevia, anything like that. So I keep my fast hardcore. I'm a hardcore faster. And then, like I said, my eating window, it's still up and down. It's not, I'm not here to say I'm like the perfect alternate day faster. I don't have any magic. What I'm saying is the magic is in the process, and it empowers you. It frees you. It's so freeing. I can't even express like how this process has changed so much. And I'm losing weight, and I enjoy all these foods. You know, I go out for dinner, and as long as it's in my eating window, I enjoy. And also, like, probably in the first little bit, maybe the first few weeks of alternate day fasting, yeah, I probably ate past the point of being full. I didn't, even that gauge was out of whack. And now my satiation or my satiety gauge, I even see that, because even though I see this food on the plate, there comes a point where I know I'm full and it doesn't even appeal to me to keep eating. Or, you know, back in the day, chocolate bars, I would have 2 or sometimes even 3. I can barely eat a whole chocolate bar anymore. It's amazing. I love alternate day fasting so much. So like I said, if you're interested in doing alternate day fasting and you just want to get started, I highly recommend picking up my success guide. I've left the link. It's up on my Patreon channel. You just have to, I believe it's in the news feed, so go grab that. There's tons of support out there. I'm going to keep making videos. I feel like I've been so blessed by this, you know, sharing my story, hoping to inspire and assist, and just mostly put the intention that I really want to set here is to put the power back in your own hands. You don't have to follow the way I do it. You don't have to follow any plan, though people do alternate day fasting with this and that. And it's all just a beautiful process. Yeah. So I'm sending you encouragement. And if this video helped you, please hit the like. And for sure, if you want to see more from me, hit subscribe. It's really helping my channel grow. And that's it, guys. I will see you in my next video. Take care.